Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today.
Hey everyone, it's Jessica from Hailey's team. The episode you're about to hear today is a short chat Hailey had with life coach Deborah Ivanoff, all about why sales doesn't have to be icky and how you can learn to enjoy sales more. Enjoy!
Hi, Hailey, and hi, everybody who's looking in today. I'm Deborah Ivanoff, the Being Coach. I help business professionals overcome the resistance cycle that threatens to pull them back to where they started and help them move more smoothly through the change process. Hailey, would you mind saying hello and introducing yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Hailey Rowe. I'm a marketing and sales coach and strategist and LinkedIn lead gen service provider. And I help entrepreneurs with the 2 things that they usually dread, marketing and sales, and help them actually be able to get clients and turn their craft, which is coaching or whatever service you do, into your career.
Well, I had a chance to meet you last week, Hailey, and I thought it would be a really fun thing to just talk about sales calling, sales acquiring, because even though it's something we all focus on, it's one of the things we all resist and avoid the most. I never ever heard someone say, I love selling to people. I love calling people. I love knocking on doors. Have you? Has anyone come to you?
Not often. I've seen people,
no.
But no. Usually they like it when they get good at it, because
yes,
let's face it, none of us like things that we feel like we suck at, right?
Exactly.
So most of the time, I'd say maybe 1% of the population likes sales and marketing, but most people don't.
Yeah, you know what I hear from people is, I hear a lot of shoulds, like I should do this. I know I'm supposed to do this. I don't want to do this. It's hard to do this. I'm afraid to do this. when we get to the beneath it, it's that fear of rejection thing that's going on. And since that isn't my main line of work with clients, I usually do work with clients in that area. We talk a lot about who must I be being to enjoy it more or to engage with the selling process. Usually we find something that's particular for that person. But I'm a little curious about what you notice when people come, and you said people will begin to enjoy it when they get good at it, when they get some confidence at it. How do you find people? I know what I find, but what do you find people get confident? How do you find people get confident about that?
Well, I think the first thing that has to happen in order to feel confident with it is to change your view on it. So a lot of people see sales and marketing as pushing, begging, asking for money, things like that. And when you define it that way, it's natural that a person with good morals would not want to do that, right? So I totally get it. If I saw it that way too, I would not want to do it. But when you see it as I am focused on my audience or whoever I'm talking to and helping them find a solve, and my offer or my craft or my gift or my entity, aka your business, which is separate from you. That's the other thing you have to do. You have to separate yourself from the picture. This is something you have to offer to deliver a solution. When you are able to do that, it becomes more natural to be able to, sell and market and that kind of thing. So the first thing that you just have to break out of is your paradigms and your beliefs about how you think sales and marketing has to be, maybe because you've experienced a bad, transaction with someone, or because growing up, you heard your parents talk about money and sales in a bad way or something like that. So we really have to look at that first. And then I think the other thing is finding a marketing method or a sales method that aligns with a couple things. One, your strengths. So if you love, talking to people and being on camera or something like that, you might do more webinars, or you might do more live interviews or collabs or things like that. If you are a writer and you just love writing, you might do blogs and letters and things like that. So your strengths, but then also what you can stick with. So I know, some of my clients, they feel like tech grandmas or grandpas, and they're not going to stick with something super complex and, that kind of thing until they're able to have a team. So they may need to start with something simpler. So figuring out what can you actually stick with, or what social media platform resonates with you the most. And then the other thing is you have to think about what you can get good at and what you feel like, you want to practice. And I think the two questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about sales and marketing, because I think a lot of people just think, oh, I got to completely reinvent and I got to have a funnel and I got to do all these things. And, you and I talked, and your main marketing method is just referrals. It's just being good at what you do. And that's totally
Talking
great.
to people. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we have to start with just what feels easy as a first step to getting out there more and providing more value. And then the other question to ask yourself always is, how can I be useful? Because usually that will give you indication of how you might want to market yourself or put yourself out there.
Yeah, I love that. Simple, easy. How can I be useful? What would work for me? I don't think that's the question a lot of us ask. There's so much shoulds. You should do this. This is what you have to do. I know a lot of my clients hear this from mentors, teachers. If you want the sales, you have to do this, Well, maybe, but let's find out. That's what I always say. Let's find out. And I bet you do a lot of that with your clients too. It's like, I don't know, let's find out. Here's a place to start. Yeah. And let's start with your strengths. I like that too. And then I know when I talk to people, I often say to them, if you are scared and you're talking to somebody about trusting you, what are they going to pick up on? Right? Yeah. So if I'm scared and I'm looking to introduce something to you, are they going to feel my desire to share something with you, or are you going to feel my fear? Right.
Yeah.
So just like you were saying, playing on your strengths, I always think that a good place to start is, finding how to get solid in yourself, how to get solid in myself. And then it makes it much easier to have a real conversation with someone. But I think real conversations, whether they're online or offline, but putting some more of you, I think people are getting a little tired of, is this a real person? Yeah. Even if you're in person, is this a real person? And like you said, curiosity. I love that. Curiosity. So really just even that, what a great roadmap. Safety, curiosity, coming from your strengths, easy, something that's easy, something that feels good, something that's connecting you with other people. Can you imagine a world where we had the choice then as a customer to actually engage with someone and say, I don't know, but tell me more, but I don't know. I'm not, can I still hear more? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, it would. And you brought up a really good point earlier when you were saying you help people with how they're being, because one thing to think about with sales and marketing is, I think a lot of people think, I need the exact formula, or I need the exact system or magic bullet or whatever. And the truth is, it doesn't exist. Number one, it's different for everybody.
That it did.
Right. But number two, you can have the best sales script or webinar formula or whatever in the world, but if your conviction behind it or your tone and your belief is not strong, the person who believes in what they're offering, believes in the other person who they're selling to, etc., is gonna they could say not follow the script at all and still close the sale compared to the person following the script word for word who doesn't have the conviction. So you bring up a really key point there, being the being coach. That's pretty key.
I like that word conviction. When you were talking about, talking to people about what it really is, having some integrity about that and your purpose and speaking to them. When you think about having some conviction about who you are and what you're offering people, and taking a stand for the person who's in front of you instead of fearing a stand for the dollar, it's a completely different thing, isn't it? It's a completely different thing. Gosh, can you think of any examples in your business of someone who shifted from, thinking marketing was one thing and then being pleasantly surprised that it was something else and it worked?
Yes, actually, what came to mind naturally when you were saying that is I have a client and she's been on my podcast. Her name's Hunter, and she was always like, she's the sweetest lady and just has like a heart of gold. And she always was a little afraid of marketing. I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to put calls to action in my posts and things like that. And then when she was able to actually just see it, sales and marketing, as literally sharing, inviting, like caring about the other person, she started to do things like voice notes, or she started to do things when she was like answering inquiries instead of typing up a generic response, she would send a voice note, or she would find like, it actually really helps me to share my story and then, invite conversation about their story or things like that. Like she was able to kind of shift her approach to it, instead of being so rigid or thinking it has to be a certain way. And she was able to increase her discovery call closing rate to 90%. She has a video about that on my YouTube. But anyways, that was something that was really key because she just felt like very out of place on sales calls and like was, I have to like make the offer and it's going to feel weird. But when she was able to more so see it as like a partnership with the other person, ask open questions, hear what they're saying, and lead with that, like, well, what would I want if I was in their situation and that kind of thing. Her sales naturally went up because I think her conviction, as we talked about, went up. Well.
I love that idea of being in partnership with the person who's in front of you, that you're talking about something. If you are really in partnership, you want the best for them. And part of the best maybe for them, you don't know yet, but you want to find out, is maybe your product or service. Like, how would you know if you don't find out, if you don't explore together? That goes back to that curiosity. So this is really cool. I think this is really fun. Hailey, thank you for joining me today. I just thought it'd be fun if we had a little bit more of a conversation about some of these things that we're in completely different fields, and we're definitely noticing things our clients share in common. And I'm sure in other fields as well. I think this would be a fun thing for people to consider. And we just gave people like some really good ideas about some things they could use that aren't hard. They're already available to them. I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. Thank you so much for the questions. And I think that you brought up some good points about how it is more about just what if we go into sales thinking shoulds rather than just like, let's just start with, can I just, insert something that gets you one step in seeing sales a different way. That's kind of how you start to break the cycle. And you also mentioned you have some things to help with resistance. So that is another thing that maybe people
when we handle the resistance in us, then we're just the same thing as safety. Then we're offering that to other people as well. And that's how you and I got connected anyway. You reached out to me and I said, I don't know, sure, let's talk. Sure. Yeah. And then we just had a little conversation, and then we said, hey, let's open this up and maybe just open our conversation up, and maybe other people could get some value out of that and get a benefit from that too. And I love that. I love that about us.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Hailey. Thank you.
So much for listening to this podcast, and if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.